Most men will never truly live. Every day, piece by piece, they trade their fire for comfort, their purpose for pleasure, their ambition for approval. They don't fall from greatness in one big moment. They drift away from it, quietly, without even noticing. And the scariest part? They think this is normal. Look around you. Everywhere you go, you'll see men who've given up long before life ever beat them. They wake up tired, go to jobs they hate, laugh at jokes they don't find funny, and go to sleep pretending they're at peace. But deep down, they know something's wrong. There's an emptiness that comfort can't fill, a silence that pleasure can't drown. They just don't want to face it, because facing it would mean admitting how far they've fallen. Average is a disease, but it doesn't finish you instantly. It finishes you slowly, through every small compromise, every broken promise, every "I'll start tomorrow." It's the weight you feel when you look in the mirror and see a man you don't respect anymore. The eyes duller, the posture weaker, the fire gone. You used to dream, you used to fight. Now you just scroll. You call it balance. You call it being realistic. But let's be honest, you're scared. Scared of failing, scared of looking stupid, scared of trying and still coming up short. So you do what everyone else does. You wait, and you call it patience. But time doesn't wait with you. It moves fast, dragging your potential away one quiet day at a time. You tell yourself, "I'll change when I'm ready." But ready never comes, because comfort has no exit door. The longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. You start believing the lie that mediocrity is peace, that this numb little existence is just how life is supposed to be. But deep down, something in you knows it's not. There's a voice inside you that never shuts up. It whispers when you waste another morning. It screams when you skip another promise. You can bury it with dopamine, drown it in excuses, but it never dies, because that voice knows who you could have been, and it's begging you to wake up. Here's the truth most men never face. You were never meant to be average. That's why mediocrity feels like death. That's why you can't fully enjoy the comfort everyone else worships. That's why you feel restless even when life is fine. Because fine was never your destiny. That pressure in your chest, that guilt after a wasted day, that's not depression, it's resistance. It's your soul fighting against a life that doesn't belong to you. The world calls it overthinking, burnout, even arrogance. But deep down, you know better. You know it's hunger. The hunger for more. You were built to climb mountains, not scroll screens. Built to suffer for something meaningful, not die slowly in comfort. Built to stand out, not blend in. That ache inside you, it's proof that your potential is still alive. You haven't lost it. You've just ignored it. And it's still waiting. Waiting for the day you finally say, enough. Enough of average. Enough of excuses. Enough of pretending this is okay. The moment you decide that, everything changes. Because mediocrity doesn't need talent to escape it. It needs refusal. The refusal to live another day like everyone else. The refusal to let potential rot inside you. The refusal to be normal. There's a reason you don't feel alive living like them. You were born for war, not against others, but against weakness, against comfort, against the version of yourself that keeps settling. And once you understand that, once you stop trying to fit into a world built for the average, you'll start to feel something most men never do. Power. Not the kind that's loud or showy, the kind that's silent, the kind that grows in the dark, the kind that comes from knowing you're done living like the rest. Because this isn't about being better than them. It's about being who you were meant to be. And deep down, you already know who that is. Some men break the cycle. Not because they're born different, not because they're lucky, but because one day they get tired of lying to themselves. They look in the mirror and finally admit, "I'm not who I said I'd be." That moment hurts. But that pain, that's the spark that separates the 1% from everyone else. The 1% don't wait for motivation. They move through life like every action is a declaration of war. War against laziness, against comfort, against mediocrity itself. You won't find them bragging online or talking about balance. They're too busy becoming. They're the quiet ones in the room, the ones who train when no one watches, who disappear for months, then return unrecognizable. While everyone else is chasing validation, they're chasing self-respect. And every day, they earn it in blood, sweat, and silence. The world doesn't understand them. People call them obsessed, extreme, even broken. But that's because average minds can't comprehend uncommon discipline. They mistake peace for comfort, but the 1% find peace only in progress. When others rest, they rise. When others laugh, they're learning. When others waste, they're building. They're not chasing motivation, they're chasing mastery. Every small act, every repetition, every painful hour compounds into something lethal. The 1% live by a code. They don't speak of it, but you can feel it in their presence. They walk differently, slower, heavier, like every step has purpose. They look at the world with quiet detachment, because they've seen what happens when men get too comfortable, and they've sworn never to go back. You can recognize them anywhere. The calm in chaos, the focus in noise, the intensity that makes the weak uncomfortable. Because the 1% aren't fueled by ego, they're fueled by hunger. The kind of hunger that never dies, even after success. And if you ask them what drives them, they won't talk about money or fame. They'll tell you one thing: I refuse to be average. Here's what most people don't understand. Refusal isn't arrogance. It's not saying, "I'm better than you." It's saying, "I will not die like you." It's not hatred for others. It's love for potential. It's looking at mediocrity and saying, "No, this is not my destiny." It's choosing pain over peace, growth over comfort, loneliness over fake company. It's doing the hard thing, not because you want to, but because you said you would. That's the real rebellion, not against the system, not against society, but against the weaker version of yourself that keeps whispering, "You've done enough." That's why these men are different. They don't chase applause, because they know applause means you're still being watched. And the best work, the work that changes you, happens when no one's watching. They've trained themselves to crave silence. They disappear into the grind, not to escape the world, but to build themselves in it. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice is a brick. And brick by brick, they build a fortress of discipline so strong, nothing can shake it. They learn to love boredom, to love pain, to love repetition, because they know every time they suffer, the 99% quit. And that's exactly where they win. So when you see one of them, the man who moves differently, who looks carved from stone, who carries a presence that silences the room, understand this. He wasn't born that way. He became that way, through refusal, through obsession, through the relentless decision to never go back to average. Because the 1% aren't gods. They're men who made a choice and protected it like their life depended on it. And maybe that's the truth that scares the world the most, that anyone could become one of them, if they were just willing to refuse. There's a reason only a few rise while the rest stay stuck. It's not luck, it's not talent. It's the principles they live by when no one's watching. The world calls them obsessed, but these men call it standard. And those standards are what make the 1% untouchable. The 1% operate on 3 unbreakable laws. Laws that sound simple, but feel brutal when lived out. They don't need motivation, because these principles are their motivation. They don't ask, how do I stay consistent? They ask, what happens if I stop? And that fear, the fear of becoming average again, keeps their fire alive. But before you try to live like them, understand this. These aren't tips, they're tests, and most men fail them. Principle 1. Choose pain over comfort. Pain is their compass. While others run from it, they chase it. Because pain is truth, it reveals what's weak, fake, and unprepared. The 1% understand something the average man never will. Comfort is the enemy of transformation. They know that everything they want, strength, confidence, freedom, lives on the other side of discomfort. That's why they wake before dawn. That's why they train when they're exhausted. That's why they embrace rejection instead of avoiding it. Because every time they choose pain, they grow a stronger armor. Pain is not punishment, it's the price of progress. And while others pray for easier days, the 1% pray to be strong enough to handle harder ones. They bleed on the battlefield of discipline because they'd rather suffer now than regret later. That's the first law. And if that already sounds too much, you'll never survive the next two. Principle 2. Build identity through discipline. The 1% don't chase motivation, they build identity. They don't wake up when they feel ready, they wake up because that's who they are. Every action reinforces their identity. When they train, they're proving, I am disciplined. When they reject comfort, they're saying, I am in control. Discipline isn't a habit, it's self-respect in motion. Most men lose respect for themselves because they constantly break promises to themselves. They say, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. The 1%? They'd rather die than break their own word. That's why they move with quiet confidence, because deep down they trust themselves. And when you trust yourself, you stop needing validation from the world. Discipline isn't slavery, it's freedom. Freedom from guilt, freedom from regret, freedom from weakness. The average man wants results without responsibility. The 1% understand that without discipline, you are just a slave to your emotions. Principle 3. Outlast everyone. Talent fades, motivation dies. But endurance conquers. The 1% are not the strongest or the smartest. They're simply the ones who didn't quit. They've failed, been ignored, rejected, humiliated. But they stayed. While others changed goals every month, they stayed locked on the mission. When everyone else got tired, they kept going. You'll find them working when the crowd disappears because they understand one truth. Time is the ultimate separator. You can't fake consistency. You can't hide in persistence. Every day they last is another man who quits. Every year they survive is another 1,000 who fall away. And eventually, there's no one left to compete with. That's how legends are made. They don't win because life favors them. They win because time runs out for everyone else first. These 3 principles aren't glamorous. They won't go viral. They won't make sense to most people. Because they're not about motivation, they're about transformation. And transformation isn't loud. It's lonely. It's painful. It's years of invisible work that no one claps for. But when that work pays off, when that transformation finally surfaces, the world calls it genius or lucky. When in reality, it was just the 1% living by a code. Pain, discipline, endurance, 3 forces that forge men into something unrecognizable. They turn weakness into power. They turn insecurity into presence. They turn mediocrity into mastery. Most men avoid these 3 because they hurt. But what they don't realize is, the pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is forever. And that's the line that separates those who dream from those who become. So if you want to rise, start there. When you feel pain, don't run, lean in. When you don't feel like it, act anyway. And when you want to quit, remember, that's where everyone else stops. That's where the path clears. That's where the 1% begin. Because these aren't just principles. They're the foundation of greatness. And once you build your life on them, you'll never go back to average again. You've heard enough theory. Now it's time to rise. Because knowing the path means nothing if you're still standing at the bottom of the mountain. The 1% don't dream about change. They build it. And every transformation begins the same way, by destroying what keeps you weak. If you want to rise above the 99%, you don't need luck, genetics, or money. You need clarity. You need to know exactly what to kill inside yourself and exactly what to replace it with. The blueprint is simple, but brutal. It starts with subtraction, because what you remove determines what you can become. Number 1, eliminate comfort. Delete the apps that waste your time. Walk away from people who keep you soft. Stop chasing moments that numb you and start chasing habits that sharpen you. Comfort is the slow poison of potential. You sip it daily and call it peace. But peace isn't supposed to make you weaker. Real peace comes after war. Number 2, eliminate excuses. Excuses are lies wrapped in logic. They sound reasonable until you realize they're the walls of your cage. The moment you justify your weakness, you hand your potential a death sentence. Every time you say, "I can't," a stronger version of you dies quietly in the dark. Stop killing him. Now that the noise is gone, what's left to chase? 3 things: solitude, consistency, and self-respect. You can't find clarity in crowds. You have to step into silence to hear who you really are. The 1% don't fear being alone. They fear being surrounded by people who distract them from purpose. When you spend time alone, you stop performing for the world and start performing for yourself. Consistency. Not every day will feel powerful. Not every rep will feel meaningful. But consistency is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. When others wait for motivation, you move through boredom like a machine. That's how the 1% stay ahead. Not through intensity, but through repetition. Keep promises. Show up when you said you would. Do what you said you'd do, especially when no one is watching. Because every time you follow through, you're casting a vote for the man you want to become. Now listen carefully. This isn't motivation. This is a ritual, a test of will. For 7 days, move differently. Wake up before the world. Train like someone's life depends on it. Talk less. Execute more. Move like a man who's being watched by the future version of himself. Every decision, every rep, every meal, every hour, ask yourself, would the man I'm trying to become be proud of this? If the answer is no, change it. If the answer is yes, repeat it until it's who you are. The first few days will feel impossible. You'll crave distraction. You'll want to quit. That's the old you trying to survive. Let him die. Because what's waiting on the other side of those 7 days isn't just progress, it's rebirth. You'll start to walk differently, speak differently, think differently. The world around you will look the same, but you'll realize you've outgrown it. You've stopped moving with the crowd and started moving above it. That's when you'll understand the truth. Greatness isn't found, it's forged.